During his upcoming visit to the United States, Pope Francis will address a joint session of Congress and the UN General Assembly. It is expected that he will include in his speech environmental issues, more specifically global climate change. One may wonder, what gives Pope Francis authority to talk about climate change? After all, he's not a scientist. First, as a leader of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis speaks on behalf of more than 1 billion Catholics. Many of them are already suffering the consequences brought on by environmental degradation. They experience unprecedented droughts, heat waves, floods, hurricanes, and wildfires. Catholics in countries such as Philippines, Kenya, Guatemala, also United States, offer first-hand witness as to how climate change affects lives, access to drinkable water, ability to grow crops. For the vulnerable communities, climate change is not a political issue. It is a right-to-life issue, a matter of survival. What is happening to our common home is unprecedented in the history of humanity. Our collective actions are radically altering Earth's atmosphere, its oceans and land. Pope Benedict recognized this reality a few years ago when he warned that the Earth is speaking to us and we must listen if we want to survive. I would say that the overwhelming majority of scientists would agree with that. You see, the face of climate change, it's not just polar bears. It is the face of the vulnerable people. It is the face of our children, our grandchildren. Climate change is about food and water. It's about the survival of billions of people. In speaking to Congress and the UN General Assembly, Pope Francis will give voice to the joys and hopes, the grief and anguish of the people of our time. And that is an essential element of the Church's mission. That mission is defined by the life and ministry of Jesus Christ. The Gospel of Luke tells us that Jesus came to bring good news to the poor, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and to bring sight to the blind. Jesus reached out to the poor and marginalized people of his day. He challenged those who were comfortable and complacent. He taught that success of nations would ultimately be measured not by material wealth, but by the compassion shown to a neighbor in need. He shared a profound wisdom about God's kingdom, learned from a tiny mustard seed and wildflowers. He expanded the circle of compassion beyond what was acceptable by his society and religion. Jesus' mission is now the Church's mission, our mission. And this is what compels the Holy Father and the Church to safeguard our common home. What kind of news will we bring to the poor climate refugees from sub-Saharan Africa? Will it be ill tidings of climate change denial, of indifference, of burning more fossil fuels? Or will it be a good news of climate justice? Jesus Christ has charged his followers to set captives free. Pope Francis points out that many people are captive to an unsustainable lifestyle and are purveyors of a culture of waste. Being faithful to the mission of Jesus entails restoring sight to the blind. And so we should not be surprised that Pope Francis insists that we pay attention and see how the current social economic system sacrifices human lives and our mother sister Earth on the altar of money and quick profits. He warns that cowardice in defending it is a grave sin. Pope Francis inspires people with his simple lifestyle and his personal commitment to those on the margins. Like St. Francis of Assisi, the Pope is a troubadour of hope. He refuses to give in to a pessimism and apathy. Pope Francis demonstrates a profound faith in God, God who empowers ordinary people to do extraordinary things. The Pope insists that lifestyles, models of production and distribution can change. Politics as usual can change. A current social economic system can change and be replaced by one that fosters an authentic human development, one that provides renewable energy, clean air, and jobs for the youth. What kind of action will take us there? I would like to offer 3 suggestions. First, whatever your religious tradition is, go deeper. It is not just about recycling or turning the lights off. It is about rediscovering who we are and where we belong as part of God's creation. Second, we need to simplify our lives. What kind of energy do we use? What do we buy and eat? What kind of cars we drive? All those things are moral choices that will help to determine whether Earth, our common home, will remain habitable for future generations. The third kind of action has to do with political responsibility. If we truly want to respond to the cry of the poor and heal the earth, we must work together to ensure that our politics are not beholden to special interest at the expense of common good. Pope Francis says that unless citizens control political power, it will not be possible to control damage done to the environment. That means that ordinary people should be actively engaged in faithful citizenship and political process. They should take interest and support efforts that promote wind and solar energy, a more equitable economy, a reduction in overconsumption and waste. Every January, a group of my fellow parishioners from St. Camilla's Church take part in the Polar Bear Plunge, organized by a local environmental group. We pray and then plunge into the freezing waters of Potomac River to help raise awareness of climate change as a moral issue. And we do it to raise concerns about things such as fracking. We advocate in support of wind and solar energy projects. Recently, over 1,000 of my fellow parishioners signed the petition of the Global Catholic Climate Movement. It calls on the global leaders who will gather this December at the UN Climate Summit in Paris to take a decisive action on climate change. It urges them to drastically reduce carbon emission and to aid the world's poorest in coping with the impacts of climate change. All these are important priorities for Pope Francis and the Church. Well, may they also become part of our priorities as we walk with Pope Francis on the path of charity and justice and care for our common home. Sacred the land, sacred the water, sacred the sky, holy and true. Sacred all life, sacred each other, all reflect God who is good.